Chapter 10. Direct Knowledge. All those who study occultism want direct knowledge. They yearn to know how they are doing, they want to know about their own inner progress. Every student's greatest aspiration is to be able to convert themselves into a conscious citizen of the superior worlds, and study at the foot of the Master. Unfortunately, occultism is not as simple as it seems. The internal powers of the human race are completely damaged and atrophied. Human beings have not only ruined their physical senses but, moreover, and what is worse, their internal faculties. This has been the karmic result of our bad habits. The student searches here and there, reads and rereads any book about occultism and magic that falls into his hands, and all the poor aspirant does is fill himself with terrible doubts and intellectual confusion. There are millions of theories and thousands of authors. Some repeat the ideas of others. This author refutes that author. It's all against one, and one against all, colleague to colleague. They ridicule and fight against each other, and it's really all against all. Some authors advise devotees to be vegetarians, others say they should not be. Some advise them to practice breathing exercises, others say they should not practice them. The result is horrifying for the poor seeker. He does not know what to do. Yearning for the light, he supplicates, begs, nonetheless, nothing, absolutely nothing happens. What to do? We have met extremely mystical individuals, group, heroes. Many of them are vegetarians, abstemious, virtuous, etc. They are usually very sincere and want the best for their followers. However, they sigh like everyone else, they suffer and cry in secret. These poor people have never seen what they preach. They do not know their guru, they have never had the joy of speaking with him personally. They have never seen the planes of cosmic consciousness, the planes or superior worlds of which they make such pretty diagrams and such interesting descriptions. We, the brethren of the temple, feel true pity for them and try to help them. That is what we attempt to do, but all is useless. They hate everything about sex, whatever resembles sex. When we speak to them about perfect matrimony, they laugh and protest angrily, defending their sexual abstention. Those poor blind leading the blind need someone to guide them. They suffer a lot because they do not have the joy of having direct knowledge. They suffer quietly so as not to discourage or disappoint their followers. We, the brethren of the temple, frankly love and pity them. It is necessary to stop theorizing. The opium of theories is more bitter than death. The only path for reconquering lost powers is sexual magic. The great arcanum has the advantage of regenerating man. Man needs to regenerate, and this is not a matter of authors or libraries. We need to work with the grain, with the seed. Just as the lizard can regenerate its tail, and the worm can regenerate itself, so too can man regenerate his lost powers. These animals can replace their lost tail with the sexual force they possess. So man can replenish, reconquer, his internal powers with that same sexual force. The suffering pilgrims can reach direct knowledge by this path. So they will become true enlightened priests for their fraternal groups. The path is sexual magic. Every guide must be clairvoyant and clairaudient. Next, we give an exercise to develop clairvoyance and the occult ear. After having these faculties, it is good to remain for periods of time within the deepest forests, away from urban life. In the peacefulness of nature, the gods of fire, air, water, and earth teach us ineffable things. It's not about living only in the forest. What's a saint doing in the forest? However, we should have a good holiday in the countryside, that's all. Perfect mental equilibrium is of vital importance for spiritual progress. Almost all aspirants of esotericism easily lose their mental equilibrium and fall into the most absurd things. Those who yearn for direct knowledge should concern themselves with keeping their minds in perfect equilibrium. Practice. The great master Hirokocha teaches a very simple practice for seeing the tattvas. Tattva is the vibration of ether. The exercise is as follows. The devotee puts his thumbs in his ears, he closes his eyes, and seals them with his index fingers. He closes his nostrils with his middle fingers, and finally, seals his lips with his ring and little fingers. In this condition, the student must try to see the tattvas with the sixth sense. This eye is found between the eyebrows. Yogananda, who gives the same exercise as Kromheller, advises to also use the mantra Om. Yogananda says that devotees should rest their elbows on some cushions. These will be placed on a table. The devotee will do this practice at the table, facing east. Yogananda advises that the chair on which the devotee sits to do this practice should be wrapped in a wool blanket. This reminds us of Apollonius of Tyana, who wrapped himself in a woolen mantle to totally isolate himself from disquieting currents. Many authors give this exercise, and we consider it to be very good. We believe clairvoyance and the magical ear are developed with this practice. Initially, devotees will see only darkness. However, with more effort in the practice, their clairvoyance and magical ear will develop slowly but surely. In the beginning, devotees will hear nothing but physiological sounds, but little by little, they will hear more and more delicate sounds during the practice. This is how they will awaken their magical ear. Instead of giving himself indigestion with so many contradictory theories, it is better that the reader practice and develop his internal faculties. The process of regeneration must proceed intimately associated with esoteric exercise. Science says an unused organ becomes atrophied. It is necessary to use the organs of clairvoyance and of the magical ear. It is urgent that we exercise with these organs and regenerate them in order to attain internal realization. These practices are not against any religion, sect, school, or belief. All priests, guides, instructors of all schools and orders can do these exercises to develop their faculties. Thus, they can better lead their respective groups. Awakening of internal faculties should run parallel with cultural, intellectual, and spiritual development. The clairvoyant must also develop all the chakras so as not to fall into serious error. Most clairvoyants have made serious mistakes. Almost all famous clairvoyants have filled the world with tears. Almost all great clairvoyants have slandered people. Poorly used clairvoyance has led to divorces, assassinations, adultery, robbery, etc. The clairvoyant needs logical thought and exact concepts. The clairvoyant must have perfect mental equilibrium. The clairvoyant must be powerfully analytical. The clairvoyant must be mathematical in investigation and demanding in expression. Clairvoyance demands perfect development of clairaudience, intuition, telepathy, premonition, and other faculties in order to function correctly.